Let me have my final reflection. I want to give you my review of Game of Thrones. What I really loved about the ending, and I'll give you my criticisms, was how realistic it was. War starts with great ideas and big talk and high ideas, and it ends in ruins with bureaucrats getting back to fixing the sewer system, which I thought was really captured well. But the thing about Game of Thrones, I mean, that was amazing. It was amazing. Was these characters who were so realistic, who acted in with their character, who changed but never changed at their essential selves, and it just wrapped us up in who we wanted to win throughout the entire show. We really cared about who was going to win, but they didn't win according to what we liked. They won according to who won or lost according to who they were. Daenerys, the Dragon Queen, may be one of the best female characters in fiction, in all of fiction, certainly in television fiction, which she wouldn't have been had she become a feminist icon. Then she would have been a political construct instead of a human being doing what human beings do. And as I say, she illustrated basically the progress that the left makes from wanting to do good to feeling that only they can do good, and therefore it is worth any atrocity and any oppression to get their good done. I thought Jon Snow was a masterpiece of characterization, and people were very frustrated with him that he didn't have agency at the end, that he didn't make decisions, but that was who he was. He was a lone wolf, and this is something I know a little bit about. A lone wolf is a kind of person that people follow because they like the direction that he's going, but he's not the kind of person who leads them, who wants the power to lead them. He wants to be left alone, and so he winds up in the wild, which I guess you're supposed to assume he'll one day become kind of the king of the wild, free people out there. And of course, Tyrion the dwarf was just an amazing, amazing character. He was cynical, and he thought that equaled wisdom. He found that he was a failure in so many ways. People kept saying he keeps giving bad advice, but the show actually addressed that in the end. And I think in that knowledge that his wisdom was not wisdom, it was only cynicism, he really did become somebody that we could root for in the future. I loved the fact that power was a character. Power was a character. Everything that happened in it was people not taking into account the brute fact of power. I mean, the people who did not want power for power's sake did not get power. And that was amazing. And people got killed because of that, and people became oppressors because of that. Here are some of my criticisms. TV storytelling of this length has a flaw. It is virtually impossible to tell a story over 8 years without being corrupted by people's opinions, tell it publicly over 8 years without being corrupted by people's opinions and people's reactions. If you are writing the story and you've got it whole and then you just present it over 8 years, that's very different. But you can't, you present these stories, you can't go back and correct things. People make mistakes. People get into a mood where they don't want to do anything. You can't go back and edit it. There's going to be like a lot of problems in any long TV story. My biggest objection was the way in which the deeper mythologies of the show kind of dissipated. And again, I thought that did create this sense of reality. It was like war, where you have these big ideas and everybody rushes off to the trenches. And then after getting shot at for a bunch of years, you start to think, like, can we just go home and like build our lives again? And it did have that kind of feeling to it, which I really liked. But I thought the dead, the armies of the dead, which was such a cool device when the show began, the way it kind of slowly crept in on you. I didn't really know who the Night King was. I didn't really know what they wanted, what their urge was. I didn't know where they had come from, why they had come up at this particular point. And God, I mean, the theology of it was really strange. It was muddled. There was a God. He brought people back to life, not just Jon Snow, but other people came back to life. But believing in him was somehow stupid. And Jon Snow said, well, I've never seen life after death, but he has seen life beyond. He has seen life after life. He has seen that life can be restored, and therefore it must be somewhere in between. It must not go entirely away. At the end, Tyrion made this, I thought, really bad speech, which was, I believe, heavily influenced by Yuval Harari and his ideas of how stories unite us. If you want to see me take that idea apart, or at least Yuval Harari's idea about stories, read my piece in City Journal called Can We Believe? But I thought that was just kind of lame and never really resolved the fact that there was some force of magic, some force of holiness in this world that they just didn't want to confront, because I think the author of the books is an atheist and he didn't want to confront it. I found the ending sad but weirdly satisfying. I like the fact that the characters we were most invested in kind of went off into the wild and didn't want to become part of the civilization that was reconstituting itself. I liked the idea I like the idea of Tyrion the dwarf becoming this kind of caught up into this world of politics that he actually loves so much, and that world of politics being shown to be a very small world. But more important than anything else, you can complain about this and complain about that. And that's kind of the fun of stories, is complaining about it. A story, though, is not there to do what you tell it to do. It is there to fulfill its own nature, which I thought the story essentially did. I was so wrapped up in this show that at one point I realized that it was more important to me who got the Iron Throne than who won the next election. And I think if you can do that with a story, you have swept people into a world where they can get all kinds of things that you didn't mean to put there, and I thought it was terrific. Here's my prediction. His Dark Materials, which a lot of people like, but I just found to be a vicious, angry, atheist screed. The first book is pretty good. It's a trilogy of books. The first book is pretty good, and then it just gets this angry attack on religious people. HBO is going to do that. My prediction is, count the days until somebody says it's the new Game of Thrones. It won't be, because I don't think it has the spirit that this story had. I don't think they can make it into the new Game of Thrones, but just watch for that, because I'm telling you, it's coming down the pike. Anyway, a great cultural experience. I think conservatives should be over the moon about Daenerys and her journey. I think it shows exactly what we're talking about and warning about when we tell people it matters who has the power to decide more than what they decide. Tomorrow, I'll be back. I'm Andrew Klavan. This is The Andrew Klavan Show.